Hi, and welcome to an episode of My Thoughts On. My Thoughts On is a space and a time to share some of my ideas or to share ideas and thoughts on various topics of interest. Now, I said space and time specifically because I often tell the children that I work with children with behavioral challenges, and I often tell them there's a time and a place for everything. That often is sometimes to help them know when, this is not the time to laugh and play, or this is the time to laugh and play, or now you can talk and say whatever it is you want. At other times, no, that's not the time to talk. But I want to provide a space and a time for myself as well as others in which we can share thoughts and ideas for no other reason other than to communicate and to share them. It is very important when we're talking to the children and when I'm working with the children, and when I say when we are, I'm talking about the behavioral specialists, parents, the the teachers, whoever works with children, that we provide a safe place. And I love that word, safe place, for the children to talk. We often say communicate. That's like a major component of providing the therapeutic work that we do with them. One of the major components is to encourage them and to support them with increasing their communication, okay, so that we can know what it is that's going on and why it is that they're behaving that they are, and we can better support them. But there's no point in encouraging children to talk and communicate if there's going to be some type of negative backlash to that. Now, eventually, and very often, there comes a point where, yes, there has to be what we call tough love, in which they have to, you have to hear that this is not okay. And in order to get to the point of them doing or understanding or finding within themselves what it is that they need to do to improve their situation. But the first steps, there has to be a safe environment. What is a safe environment? A safe environment is one in which they don't have to feel defenses as if they're going to be judged, to have the feeling of, if I share whatever this deep thought or even this light, what some might consider silly thought, no thought is unimportant or useless or silly when we're talking about allowing someone to communicate who and what they are, particularly if it is their feelings that they are communicating, because guess what? There is no right and wrong with feelings. It is your feeling. It is their feeling. It is what is going on with a person at a particular given time. And your feelings are your feelings, and you are entitled to your feelings. Okay. Um, if your expression or how you respond to your feelings, that's a whole other video for another time. But the point is that there is a space and a time where people just need to talk, not just children, human beings. I just need to talk. Now I'm gonna tell y'all something. I like to talk, okay? So this works for me to say, let me get a time and a space, that I can say, I can just talk. And I don't know that everybody who's listening is necessarily, the type that will be safe, but it's okay. This space and time for me is a safe place. And to share different thoughts and to get feedback from others on their thoughts on a particular subject. Now, I happen to love the format of cabaret singing, cabaret performing. It's a genre of music that lends itself to authentic, intimate interaction and communication between the performer and the audience. It is marked by the feeling of being in a small, cozy room in which you're actually talking, to the performers. You are talking and singing directly back and forth to the audience, and I love that. I love that because it's so personal. I love the fact that it's personal and intimate, and I like to bring that quality into my communicating with my children. I do call them my children. All the children I work with, I call them my children because I'm working with them at that time, and their parents, the teachers, and all of the staff that I support. I love having that set up, and my thoughts on is now another forum in which I can provide a safe space for communication. Communication is at the core of progress and improvements for so many situations, particularly in the job that I do, the behavior situations. It's so important. It's just so important that we communicate. And for those of you who know me and those of you who might just be meeting me for the first time, I sing and perform. I'm a performing artist, yes. And I say performing artist because I sing and act, and I just love the performing arts. I love the arts. I mean, I love, drawing, art, you name it. I love the arts, but particularly the performing arts. So today, I've been thinking about navigating through life. And I'm comparing life to the ocean. In order to navigate the ocean, we've got to reckon with salt and waves. I cannot decide that I want to enjoy the ocean. I want to engage in activities on the ocean or in the ocean and spend all of my time angsting, frustrated, and angry that the water tastes salty or that there are waves, meaning there are waves in the ocean. And ocean water, by virtue of what it is salty. So I can't, at step one, I have to reach a stage of reckoning with the fact that the ocean is salty and it is wavy. Now, there are many ways in which I can do that. If I love it to begin with, which I do, I have to love the ocean, but if I love it to begin with, great. If I have some problems with it, perhaps I can see the benefits of salty ocean. And while I'm talking about that, I meant to find out about this place. I went to a place with a friend invited me to go to a place. If one of you know the name of it, let me know. But it's a place where the water is like pumped with tons and tons and tons of salt. And there's so much salt that when you're getting it, it just holds you up. The water actually holds you up. And what I loved about that experience was I didn't know what it was going to be like because I just thought it was odd. I was like, okay, I'll do it. You're gonna go in, you're gonna lay in salty water. It's kind of like a huge I won't call it bathtub, and like a pool, a nice, pretty pool, and you get in it, and in the place where I went, you can choose to have the lights on with your soothing music going on, or you can have it completely in the dark. I tried it both ways. I liked it both ways. It was fine. Um, but the amazing thing that I liked about this was that I did not realize how much it would hold you up, how it actually would hold you up in the water. So when I first laid back in it, I'm expecting to like, sink a little bit or have to hold myself up. And it was like, oh, no, the water is holding me up. An experience that I thought might be uh scary for me, it was scary, might have been scary for me, actually turned out not to be scary at all. It turned out to be a wonderful realization that salty water holds you up really, really good. Now I know that from swimming, oceans and swimming and all that, but in the context of the way it was being done, like as if you're in your bathtub and you can just go lay down there and the water holds you up, and it feels like, wow, okay, this can support me. This actually can support me, and I was able to lean my head back in, y'all. I loved it. I enjoyed every moment of it. You know, uh, I sweated out my hair and everything else. My cap came off. It was a wonderful experience. But I diverged. I diverged. Let me get back to what I'm saying. Um, the point is we have to reckon with this. And if we can find positive ways to understand how it can actually be a good thing for us or help us, that is fabulous. I liken this to life. I feel like in navigating any situations that are less than pleasant, that are not just innately wonderful to us and make us feel good, that we have to come to terms with what is. I love that statement. It is what it is. We have to come to terms with what is. And we have to figure out how to accept life on life terms. In life, there are going to be tough times. There are going to be waves. It's what life is. Some people call life a school. Some people call it, being on planet Earth to work out situations. Whatever your interpretation of it, we all get. It is just not a romp in the fields, in the flowers every single day of every year. It's just not. There are times and things that shake us, that move us. And we are particularly in very turbulent times. I'm not going to say bad times because all depends on, your perspective of whether this is helping us or whether this is hindering us. I have my opinions on that, but I'm going to leave that just out there. How you see it, how your perspective on it has a lot to do with, how you are affected, or whether you consider this thing bad, or whether you consider this thing good, or however you come to your conclusions about it. Same thing with the ocean. Ocean, it can be good. It can be good on one hand. It can be bad on the other hand, depending on how you're looking at it. If I'm focused on the fact that, you know, the waves can take you under, That's true. And I can't say that it's not, I can't say that that's not the case. I perform on cruise ships, you know, and whenever I'm asked about that, the concern about ships going down, again, I, I, I don't see it as a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. Cruise ships are a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I know everybody who goes on cruises, does things, knows this, and I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to put any kind of a negative spin on cruise ships. But I think that you get the point that I'm just saying that we have to come to terms with it. And if we can find a way to see the lighter side of things. I know sometimes they don't say it, but a lot of my parents find it difficult, and rightfully, understandably so, to see the good in certain situations. How can you say this is good? And I totally understand when they say don't say a child having autism is good, because that kind of diminishes the frustration and the struggle that the parents are going through in navigating and working through situations with their children. But at the end of the day, one of the first steps, and I say this over and over again, I don't know how seeing things negatively will bring us any of what it is that we're looking for, that is progress or better. I know Maya Angelou has a saying about never having seen anything come out of hate. So she thinks that she'll stick with love. It's similar to that saying. I hope I have this right, the right person, but anyway, I believe it's Maya Angelou. But the point is that we do have to get real sometimes, and we have to be realistic, and we have to know when something is a problem. We have to see things for what they are and address them for what they are. But always be open to seeing, I don't want to say brighter side, because that makes it so cheesy. Yeah, look at the brighter, Pollyanna-ish. And I'm not trying to be Pollyanna-ish. I'm just saying, if we're going to put one foot in front of the other, if we're going to swim in the ocean, there's so much joy and good to be gotten out of the ocean. So much joy and good to be gotten out of the ocean. That let's find a way to see all that good. Let's find a way to see how we can experience that good. And that's the same thing in life. There is so much beauty and so much good, even in the midst of all that looks like, oh my God. And in the times we're in now, it's so easy to go, oh my God, what is going on? Because there's some crazy, we know what's going on. But in the midst of all that, there's so much yay stuff to feel good about. Louis Armstrong song, what a wonderful world. Even with everything that's happening, we can still sing, what a wonderful world, what a wonderful life. And those are my thoughts for today. And I don't say it just to you all. I remind myself 24/7. I remind myself, to find the good in life, to look for it, to expect it, to wake up in the morning like this and expect to have a good day, to expect to meet the best things in life. So that's what I'm off to do. And I hope that you all have a grand, beautiful, and wonderful day. That's it for my thoughts